Well, it is. We are in deep crisis at the moment. It's both a political and an economic crisis. And in the last few weeks, we've seen many people standing in line for essential items and finding that much of these essential items are not available. And then we've seen in the last few weeks also nationwide protests happening. So at the moment, we are having possibly the biggest peaceful protest organized by citizens happening. And this is the third day of it. So quite an amazing feeling at one level, but the dire situation cannot be ignored in all this, that many people are suffering.
There is a political impasse. The Rajapaksa government is in minority. They've lost many of their ministers, although they, may be reshuffled in some form into the future. What is going to break this political impasse?
So we've seen in the last week or so much developments in the political front. We had the cabinet resign. We do have the president and the prime minister in office and a few other ministers who took up a particular position. At the moment, several members of parliament are in discussion. Those who said they're going to sit in independently in parliament are in discussion. So really uncertainty as to whether the government, the president and his party is in full control. But as we speak, there's also a no confidence motion that is picking up support among the opposition, as well as a call to abolish the executive presidency. So things are moving. But we are also going into several days of public holidays here. So, in a few days, the momentum could change. So extremely dynamic times in many fronts in Sri Lanka.
When you talk about these sort of political negotiations going on, is there any person, any individual, any party emerging that could potentially challenge the Rajapaksas?
Well, that's the problem, is that we have several opposition groups. We have the largest opposition group, the SJB. We have a few others. They're all in discussion. I would say there is no one individual or one party, and this is going to take a coalition or consensus, and that's to be seen, whether they can come together at this critical moment. This is a time for the opposition to step up, and we are yet to see that happening. This is also a moment for the government to reach out, and there have been token efforts where the president has called for meetings, but there is also deep suspicion among the opposition that these are token efforts and nothing is going to happen.
What is the credibility of the government now, given the dire financial predicament that, in a way, their government has created?
So, Beverly, one thing to remember is in 2019, when Gotabaya Rajapaksa was elected to office, he came on the platform of stability, economic prosperity, security, and he got a thumping majority to do this. 2.5 years later, his performance is dismal, and many people are frustrated, angry. I mean, the anger is tangible, the frustration is tangible. Tens of thousands have not just come out to the street just because they don't. There's no confidence in the government. There is a crisis in that situation. So they are really they need to listen to the people when they say go home, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, but so far the president and the government are not heeding the calls of the people.
And what sort of credibility do they have to negotiate any form of international bailout which is being considered?
So at the moment, the government has started talks with the IMF, and it's necessary. I think there is a concern where this would be going to, because several people are concerned what an IMF bailout could entail. But we are in an unprecedented economic crisis that we do need all the support we can get. So it is really to be seen what kind of terms and conditions come with a potential IMF deal. And I say potential because nothing is guaranteed. And it comes back to the fact that whether international donors, international actors would want to support a country that is still very, very uncertain in terms of the political context. So we need to get our house in order. We need political leadership. We need a plan. And at the moment, that is not still in the cards. So these are very early days in terms of talking to the IMF.
So in the short term, how do you see some of these chronic shortages and problems that people are facing day to day being resolved?
So this is the thing. The government has yet to come up with a plan and communicate to the people. It seems very much a day-to-day, very ad hoc basis. So every day they announce power cuts. They just today announced that there won't be power cuts on during our new year, which is on the 13th, 14th, and 15th. So these seem to be very ad hoc, short-term measures just to appease the people. There doesn't seem to be a real plan to say, look, we're going through some hardships. This is our plan. This is what we're going to be doing. So in the absence of communication and information, people are getting even more frustrated. And there's greater anger because, there was such a lot of expectation. So we do need a lot of support internationally in terms of addressing both the short term as well as the long term. But that support also requires major changes in Sri Lanka. Just getting handouts is not going to solve the problems in Sri Lanka. So, we can't look to the international community alone. It needs to be done from within as well.
Yeah. Very challenging times. Bhavani, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.